Green, not that time, but Jones with the offensive rebound and another reach-in foul on the Chicago Sky. We got a technical foul too called and a double tech. Lady Hamilton's out of here. She said a couple of things that Charles Watson didn't appreciate and has just ejected her from the game with 2:31 left.
I think that was Angel Reese.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Kicked Angel out of the game.
Angel Reese ejected. That is my bad. I saw Laney turn towards Watson. My apologies. Angel Reese saying a few things that got the ejection.
Gotcha. Anybody that was here yesterday, do you think I was on mute again? Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the King's Court Live. Yes, I have put the chat back up on the screen for today's show. Thanks for bearing with us 30 minutes late, just because we do that sometimes on Wednesdays, but nonetheless, plenty to talk about. You heard some audio at the top. I know it's 2:30 in the afternoon. You've probably been listening to some other shows. You've read the headlines. The WNBA stays in them. Angel Reese gets ejected last night for saying the quote-unquote magic word. What do you think the magic word is? Grant doesn't know the word. I don't know the word. I'm pretty sure I could put a list together of some of the words that might get you ejected on the spot. Jokic had one of those earlier in the season. But today, the NBA or the WNBA comes out and rescinds the technical foul. Does it just feel like to anybody else that the WNBA was not prepared for this influx of attention? I mean, I just don't understand how you're not ready for this. You've got Caitlin Clark. You've had a couple other big names come into the league in the past few years, and yet you don't know that you might have a few extra eyeballs on you? I mean, any press is good press, kind of. I don't know. I'm disappointed in how the story has morphed because it really should be about basketball. Really shouldn't be about anything else besides that. But now it's got legs of its own. Pat had his comments, and I'm not going to reset those. We've all heard them, and you know the gas that it really did throw on the fire. Burn Dog, my man, throwing some Rome stuff in the chat. How you doing today, man? Good to have you here. Adam, good to see you. Dennis, what is up? Dennis actually crossed over. He got onto Haunted Horse's show yesterday. That was interesting. Dennis, what'd you think? Did we tell you the right thing? Did we tell you it is a little bit of a different show? It's a let your hair down, topical. Sometimes we let the clones take it, whichever way they want to take it. Progressive, what's up? If you are watching on the X platform, when I put the chat on the screen, that does allow you to chat from X. That is something new. So if you are on X, you can get in there, get in the chat. You guys know the way that you can call the show. We haven't had a ton of calls this week. I would love to take some of those today. You can call the show 916-399-3748. Again, I will put the chat in if you want to call through Restream. I'm happy to have you. You don't have to be on video on Restream. We have many that like to come on video, which is totally fine. But yeah, Adam, I'm kind of with you, my man. I feel like everything coming out of the WNBA has nothing to do with the actual game. No, it doesn't. And look, If you're a casual fan turning into the WNBA, I think Grant took it a little bit on the extreme, and he's entitled to his take. That's why it's his take, right? And by the way, if you tuned in last night, you got a little Grant's rant. We got some funny comments in the chat at the end of the show. We're going to be back tonight at 8 o'clock again. But Grant's like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch. I didn't really watch any or before it, but I'm definitely not watching now. And I like women's basketball. So I don't know where the league goes from here. Look, I can't blame some of these women for trying to get a little bit of extra shine, stealing a little bit of that spotlight that is on Caitlin Clark, whether that's deserved, whether it's not. It is what it is. It doesn't matter. It's there. And it's no different than an NBA rookie that has a lot of touting, a lot of expectations attached to him coming into the NBA. Look, in fact, LeBron got tested regularly. It's just he was a different type of dude. He had been playing pro style basketball for years before he got to the NBA because he was on TV all the time. That was the first time I remember seeing nationally televised high school games. And I think I was in my first or second year of college. The rest of us, what? We had to basically settle for access TV. You guys remember the access TV reporters or the guys that did the game? I remember them. Those guys were pretty cool. And who the hell can forget our guy over at the SAC B, Joe Davidson? Joe D, he has covered high school sports here in the Sacramento area for a really long time, did a great job of it. He was all over our teams back in the day. What's up, Darren? Darren and Bernie, my guys. These are my friends outside of the King's Court. Good to see you both in here. In fact, you want to hear a funny story? Last year, before I was going through my hip surgeries, I told Darren that I would be willing, because Darren's a daredevil. He lives for adrenaline, lives out in Idaho. What's up, Darren? Broncos, shout out. But I told him I would do the extreme mountain biking once my surgeries were all set and done, once I was recovered. Still hoping to do that this summer with him, but I'm starting to get a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. My training has been walking, losing weight. I've had a few setbacks walking just because you lose all your muscles when you have your hips replaced, especially your posterior muscles. So you get sore doing the most random little things on a day-to-day basis, but I'm still working up to it, Darren. Hopefully I can make it out there sometime this summer. What's up, C-Dog? How you doing today, man? Hope you're well. Everybody hear a little bit about Jonte Porter. New information coming out. It's almost something out of a movie, right? And I talked about it on the King's Court, the morning shoot around this morning. It's like if you get too far into the weeds, gambling, regardless, but if you're an athlete and you get too far into the weeds, I got to think the very edge of the plank that you're walking is throwing games. There's a difference between, and there's not a difference in gambling on your team. That's just wrong, period, end of story. But you can see how some of these guys could find a way with all these different prop bets, the more than, the less than, the over, the under. I can say that because we don't have gambling sponsors here on the show. But there's little things like rebounds or offensive rebounds that when they accumulate, they affect the game. But when it's a bench player that maybe over under 1.5 rebounds, it's not really going to affect the game if he ends up getting 2 or he ends up getting none. But those are the kind of things these guys were betting on. And we're not talking about betting to make, say, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. No, I think the profit was in the neighborhood of like $21,000. Do you know what the minimum salary in the NBA is? It is above $250,000. It's insane. So there is a little bit of a Sacramento Kings tie there. I don't want to get too much into it, but a guy that was a co-conspirator with Porter was getting ready to leave the country, and he had, I believe it was $12,000 of cash, and then he had a couple of money orders that equaled around $80,000, and he was fleeing a one-way ticket to Australia. If you had to get a one-way ticket somewhere, where are you going? That's a good question. That's a decent question of the day. And I've got another one for you. Yeah, Dennis, that's exactly right. They're looking to, he thought they were going to hit him with Rico. Rico. Literally, the text messages. Hey, make sure you delete everything. You got to get rid of everything because there's not, if you are on a cell phone these days, no, that is all backed up, completely backed up. You delete it from your cloud, you delete it from your phone, it can still be recovered. So be careful with what you got going there and IP addresses. Sea Dog or Corn Dog, dude, what's wrong, my man? Did they give you a bad pizza at Costco? Like Kobe got a bad burger here in Sacramento. It's not good, man. I hope you start feeling better. Yeah, Darren, I see that. Be careful about what you put up in here, Darren. It is on the screen. It's a little bit of a different platform. I'm trusting you all with seeing your chats on the screen. We had a knucklehead yesterday, Hakeem the Dream, all the way from the Hall of Fame, decided to join the King's Court and wanted to debate on stuff that was almost as old as Hakeem Olajuwon. So we can talk about that stuff. Another thing that I want to talk about. So I've been transparent about this, and I've confirmed what I was hearing about the Kings and the 13th pick. They're actively shopping it. They want to get rid of it. They want to swing for the fences. They have to swing for the fences. Now, Matt George of ABC 10 and Locked On Kings, he got together, did a podcast, I believe, with the other Locked On guy for the Washington Wizards. And the consensus trade, the trade that the two of them really settled on, that they thought Washington would do in a second, I am not okay with. In fact, it gives me heartburn. I think it's a really tough one to swallow. Now, if the Kings were in a different situation roster-wise, then maybe it's different because it's not so much about the player. While I do really like this player and I do think he brings something to the team that not a lot of the other Kings bring, they are in no position to move this guy. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It seems like too much to me. Seems like there's got to be a better way to get that one done. Yeah, Bird Dog. Bernie, were you here yesterday? That's how Hakeem started. Oh, well, let's talk about this. A gooba gooba goo. Sabonis trade was awful. Why would you get rid of Halliburton? Look, it was what it was. You didn't know what Halliburton was going to be. You felt like he was going to be a special player. Now, does that mean maybe an all-star a couple times? Did that mean a Hall of Famer? Nobody knew. But the one thing that was really evident was the flow was not working on the court. He was a guy that had to have the basketball in his hands. De'Aaron Fox, a guy that has to have have the basketball in his hands. That's why the Kings ended up moving on from that. And one of the big misconceptions is that the Kings chose to trade Hallie over Fox. That is not true. Fox was not on the table in the sense that Indiana wanted him. They didn't want to take on that contract. Hallie's still in the rookie contract, so that is much more desirable to teams. Flores, welcome into the party today. How you doing, my friend? Did Washington contact teams about Kuz? Did the Bulls lower their price for Zach? Yes, the Bulls reportedly are lowering their price. Now, what that means, again, just like we talked a couple weeks ago about Mike Brown, the extension talks being tabled, ambiguous, lowered, ambiguous. What, maybe you're asking for a second round pick on top of a first round pick, instead of 2 firsts. But yeah, they're coming a little bit down to earth with the ask. But LaVine, although if you were here yesterday, Jerry Reynolds thought that LaVine may be a good fit here in Sacramento. And he thought LaVine, if he could stay on the court, could be playing a little bit of inspired basketball back against the wall, time to kind of prove himself. Could he get another contract down the road? But dude does not need another contract. He is still locked up for a minute. And that's one of the limitations about LaVine, especially because you're going to have De'Aaron Fox coming up, right? You're going to have Keegan Murray coming up, but then you're going to go on the hook with LaVine for $43 million this year. The year after that, 45.9, basically 46 million. And then in 26, 27, $48.9 million. It's a lot of damn money. Yes, you could make it work to get LaVine here. But that means Vivek, in order to sign his own free agents, he is definitely going into the luxury tax to do that. And this Kings team has to be in a spot where it is clear they are in a handful of teams that should win the championship for Vivek to even consider that. Yeah, Bernard, I think he is definitely overpaid, but he is special. When he is able to be on the court, he has been special. He's really not had a ton of help at the big man position. So him playing with a Sabonis could open things up. In fact, now that we're talking about the trade possibilities, I see Dennis getting in here asking about how can you ask for a pick if you're trying to shed $150 million over 3 years, because it's the NBA. He is a all-star caliber player when he is healthy. That's the thing. His contract is not unnecessary or, irresponsible. TC, I see you, my man. I have not talked to TC in a minute since the Kings did the Mike Brown signing. Let's bring our man TC into the conversation. Welcome to the Kings Court, TC. TC, you there? TC, I got you? Oh, no, we dropped. See if he calls back here in a second. I'm sure he will. TC, if you can hear my voice, call the Kings Court back. I want to talk to you. You always got some good takes. I'm going to put this on silent. I don't want NBC to come up in here and come after us for using the theme song. You know what? What if we call TC? Here we go. Let's call TC. This will be a Kings Court first. Here we go. Let's see if he answers. Should we prank call him? No, we shouldn't prank call him. We're not a morning show on an FM station.
Hello.
My man TC, sorry. We tried to answer the call. What's up, man? Welcome in.
What's up, bro? It's all good, man. It's all good, Ryan. I just wanted to jump in, man. Hey, I'm with Jerry, man, on the whole with Zach LaVine, man. The move is either Zach LaVine or Kyle Kuzma, man, in my opinion, man. I keep saying that, but one of those dudes would be Sacramento, whether the Bulls eat some of his money or whatever it is, bro, but the move's going to have to be made, and Vivek is going to have to go into the luxury tax, bro. We can't keep trying to play both sides of the field. You know what I'm saying? As Kings fans, whatever. Like, we can't keep, we need these people. We're trying to change. We need to shake up the team. But then we're trying to get guys in, and everybody's like, oh, no, we don't need those guys. These guys won't fit. Oh, wait, Vivek, that's going over the luxury tax. Well, bro, look, check it out. If you want to be a good team and a great team, and if we want to have all these expectations, right, trying to get to the NBA Finals and all that, bro, well, you have to go over the luxury tax. You're going to have to spend money no matter what. So getting Kuz in here and trying to sign Malik Monk or getting Zach or getting all three of them, you're going to have to do that, bro. You're going to have to spend money to make money. So we have to go all in. Those are the moves. We can't say we're trying to trade. So if we're not trying to trade for Kyle Kuzma, if everybody's like, no, I'm out, and I'm out on Zach LaVine, well, what's the move, bro? Like, yeah. I'm talking to Kings fans, like, what trade are we going to get, bro? We're not going to get Kevin Durant. Like, we're not going to get, who am I looking for? Giannis or somebody like, bro. So what kind of trade are, like, those trades can happen. So what trade are people looking? Are we looking to make a little trade? Are we looking to get some bucket getters in there? Because those two guys in Zach LaVine and Kyle Kuzma are bucket getters, bro. You need one of those guys on the team, if not both, to go with the other three passive guys you have. And the three passive guys I'm talking about is Fox, Domas, and Keegan. All three of those dudes are super passive, bro. You need another bucket getter, a guy that's going to come in here and say, I don't care what you're doing, De'Aaron. I don't care what you're doing, Domas. I don't care what you're doing, Keegan. I love you guys, but I'm going to put up my shots, and we're going to get buckets, and we're going to win, bro. In my opinion, that's who you need. You need another guy in here like that, bro, to even all this out. You get me right? I know I'm going off, bro, and it sounds like I'm saying a lot, but I'm trying to make sense of this, bro, and I hope you agree.
Yeah, TC, I appreciate the call, brother. Are you still there? I thought you dropped off for a second. Yeah, hang on there with me.
No, I'm here. I'm
Cool.
here.
Yeah, if you got a second, I'm here with you. We can kick this around. So, like, you know, when you get to the grocery store towards the end of the night and they've already started putting away the stuff that was on sale, started putting away, like, maybe the affordable cuts, the only stuff that's left is the expensive stuff, or, you know, maybe something you didn't necessarily want to eat. That's kind of the position the Kings are in now because of their lack of moves over the past 2 years at the deadlines, in the offseason. So I don't think you're right in this sense that you may have to go over, but like we also have to put it in perspective, TC. This team this year was a big disappointment, yet they still won 46 games. We had them on the same level as Dallas before they made the moves at the All-Star break or at the trade deadline, and you see what happens with Dallas. So I think there's a few internal tweaks this Kings team can do specifically around the defensive end, and then offensively just move the damn ball. Because I will disagree with you this way. De'Aaron Fox is not passive. De'Aaron Fox can take over the game whenever he wants. Now, if you want to say he doesn't do that enough, that's fair. Because I used to say all the time, well, dude takes over in the fourth. Where's he at in the first? It's harder to take over in the fourth than the first, you know? But I think Kuzma's the man, TC. I just don't like the name that I saw included in that trade. Now, with LaVine, I'm with you. Like, I would be more open to LaVine than I am Brandon Ingram. And I think LaVine could actually open up and spread the floor a little bit more for the Kings if that ball is moving. I think LaVine could actually be one of those guys that fits in really well in a motion offense if that's the way the Kings decide to go again. But what it does, like you said, is it gives you another creator. The Kings list of creators is far too short. They've got too many finishers, too many specialists. So yeah, is Vivek going to have to go into his pocket? Possibly, but TC, this is the year to me, and we just started having this conversation the other night. This is the year that's got to prove to Vivek it's worth going into your pocket. So whether that means it's not a massive splash this year, I still think that Kyle Kuzma is a very good splash if they're able to get him. But this year, show Vivek that, you know what, we're on track. We might have taken a sidestep last year, but if he's going to overpay, it's not going to be for Durant. It's not going to be for any of these guys we're talking about, because you can't overpay for those guys. You can only overpay, as Jerry Reynolds said, with your own free agents, which are going to be Keegan Murray, De'Aaron Fox. Now, if you get one of these guys under contract like a Brandon Ingram, then maybe that decision's there. But Brandon Ingram, everybody I've talked to that's plugged in with the Pelicans, they don't see that trade happening. So to me, LaVine's well, if we want to, we can do it. I don't think there's a quick rush to go get LaVine. Kyle Kuzma is really where the rush is at if the Kings are going to make a move the draft night.
Yeah, so listen, man, hey, I agree with you, bro. Like, you have to make that move, and that settles our length too with Kuzma, bro. Dude's what, 6'11", 6'9", 6'11", so that wing, and you're not giving up Keegan, so you can like tweak with him and Keegan at the 3 and 4. I'm with you on Fox. I get you. I think I best worded it. Not saying, and I love Fox, bro. I love him to death. You know what I mean? But it's just not. I would, like you said, I wouldn't say passive. It was more like take over in the game, bro. Like, don't stop. It's at certain times he takes like to take the back seat. We don't need you to do that, bro. We need you to be a killer all throughout the game, like all 4 quarters. You get me?
I get you.
Hey, Bruno, I'm gonna let you go. I know you got other people, but check it out, so y'all get ready, bro. Kuzma's the move. I know everybody, and you know what, Rhino, before I go, everybody likes Kuzma, right? Because it's the way he dressed. I don't think it's him as a ball player. And you know what? I don't give a rat's. You know what about how he dresses, bro? Come in here and play ball, bro. Like, I seen you play ball, and I promise you, bro, this team will be back in the 3rd seed. Hey, much love to all y'all.
Absolutely. That is TC he always brings it. TC is such a good caller. He is such a good caller. If you get him hooked to your show, or if he hitches his wagon to your show, when he calls, he makes it better. Dude is passionate about these Kings. And oh, you are welcome, Dave. Yeah, you've seen this one before, Dave. I had the Net Jets on the other night, and I think I went North Face again. Dave, I've got a couple of other hats that I would like to bust out. I'm just not sure how Napes is about the flat bills. Grant's not really a flat bill guy. I mean, like if I sent Grant for his birthday a flat bill hat, what are the chances he's wearing that on the air? Probably slim to none. Now, if I sent him a flat bill hat for his birthday, what are the chances he's wearing it at all? Probably slim to none. So maybe I'll try to slip a couple flat bills in here. We'll see. But yeah, appreciate that, brother. TC, look, it's the classic. The Kings are treading water. They took a step back, not necessarily with their play, but they took a step back in. Oh, hold up. We are getting another telephone call. My boy Connor's calling. I don't know if he is calling on the right line because it's not coming through my computer. Connor, I think you're calling my cell phone, bro. Connor, 916-399-3748. Call that number and I can get you on perfectly. I'd love to talk to you, brother. Yeah, I think Connor called my cell phone number. He has that. And I know eventually I am going to accidentally give my cell phone number out. What's up, you all? TC back in the chat. War TC indeed. Look. I don't care what these dudes wear to the arena. You know the Kings have a social media person that stands in the hallway just to document that. That's why you end up seeing it on Instagram. These guys all dress a little bit weird. I mean, Russell Westbrook, he started it. Started the weird dressing. But yeah, Kyle Kuzma, different style. That's all right. As long as he is literally in a Kings uniform when the ball tips off, I'm good with it. That's all I need to worry about. Get Grant a matching colorway fit. Yeah, C-Dog, you called my cell phone number. I think you called my cell phone. Call 916-399-3748. Try that one, brother. That's how TC gets through. Oh, you know what? You did call the right number, C-Dog. Hold up. Let me get you. I don't know why this isn't working right. Let me call you back, C-Dog. I got you right now, brother. Here we go. We're going to give C-Dog a call back.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 916-850-5441.
We're playing phone tag. Hang up, C-Dog. Hang up, C-Dog. I'm going to call you. You ready? Here it comes. I'm calling you right now. These damn laptops, man. There we go. This will get through to, I have not talked to him all season for the most part. I'm looking forward to this.
Hello?
What's up? C-Dog.
What's up?
How you doing, brother? It's been a minute. Welcome on. Sorry about the confusion. I think the calls are getting forwarded to my cell phone. So we'll get that fixed for the next live Kings Court. What's up, dude?
Not much. Been trying to get back into the chat. Thought I'd give you a call today.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. What do you want to talk about?
We can go NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, whatever direction you want to go. I'm down.
Hey, brother, you take the lead. I will follow you. Kick it off.
All right, let's start with the NBA Finals since they start tomorrow. I think my prediction is the Celtics in 6 games, and I think Porzingis returning is going to be huge for Boston. And I'm not sure that the Mavs can really compete with the depth that the Celtics have.
It's a decent point about the depth. The Mavs are a little bit thin, but if they're healthy, I'm not super worried about it. I'm going to say Mavs in 6. I think 6 gets it done. They finish it in Dallas, and this magical ride that the Mavs have been on continues. You know why? The 3 ball. I just feel like Boston, they've had a lot of time off. You don't know how Porzingis is going to get back into the flow of things. If Luka can just be Luka and Kyrie can play the basketball he's played up until this point in the postseason, it just feels like their year, C-Dog.
Yeah, very well could be. I just think it comes down to Jason Tatum. That's kind of how it's always been. He has to be the number one guy. Jaylen Brown is a really good player, but if the Celtics want to win, Tatum has to be pretty special for them to do it.
It's a great point. I think Tatum needs to be a little bit players are trying to run him off the 3-point line at times, especially off of when he's setting the pick on the pick and roll. If I'm him, I'm living off that. I'm taking advantage of that. Give him just an extra crossover and get to the rim, get lively in foul trouble. Bring those bigs out of the paint, make them make a decision, because the way Indiana played the pick and roll last series against Boston was awful. It was really weird. They were following the ball carrier, leaving Tatum wide open. You do that, it's probably going to hit most of the threes. I want to see him get more aggressive into the rim, because when Boston plays that way and they attack the rim, that's when they're scary, scary dangerous.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there's one thing I've been meaning to ask you since the NBA draft is in less than a month now. I haven't really seen a draft like this in a while when there's not really that clear-cut guy at number one. And what do you think about, I mean, obviously I'm biased because I'm a UConn fan, but
yeah,
Donovan Clingan, I've heard reports that he's in the mix there. I was just wondering, what do you think about a 7-2 center like that in today's NBA? Do you think that he's worth the number one pick?
I do. We asked, were you here yesterday with Jerry joining us for Jerry Reynolds Tuesday? Yeah, Jerry, I asked him, like, do you think it might be swinging back a little bit where they might dust off the old school centers and they might become relevant again? And he thinks it might happen, especially with the way Minnesota has proven that it can work. And even Dallas to a degree. They make the trade at the deadline to get Gafford. They draft Lively in the offseason. So I don't mind the pick. Anybody that's coming from Bobby Hurley's program, or Dan Hurley, excuse me. I said Bobby, so we'd been talking about him a couple days ago. Dan Hurley's program, that program's not just about winning championships. It's about preparing players for the NBA. I mean, UConn, and I know that you've knocked us out of the tournament 2 years in a row, and I'm supposed to be wearing a UConn shirt, which I will eventually, to pay off that debt. But it just feels like those guys are constantly focused, constantly locked in. I think dude can move well. I do think that he can pass the ball pretty well. So I don't mind that pick whatsoever. There is some value when you come from a program like that and a coach like that.
Yeah, and UConn has some other guys that could be in play for the Kings' second-round pick, but the other big name is Stephon Castle, and I think a perfect situation for him to go into would be San Antonio with those 2 top 8 picks. I think if he can grow under Popovich and be playing with Wemby, I think that could be a really nice duo in the future.
Completely agree with you, man. You guys have been creating monsters out of UConn since Dan Hurley's been there. Just tell your boy to wash his underwear somewhere else, man. Why's he got to travel with a portable washing machine?
Yeah, and then did you see the news today with one of the guys that's in the mix at the top is Nikola Topic, and he tore his ACL. So
yeah, I did.
I wonder how much that dings his stock.
Well, it definitely hurts your stock because you're not going to have him probably for the first year, or if you do get him, it's going to be very late in the year. It's probably just a sit-out year like Michael Porter Jr. and some others have done, Joel Embiid. You know, in this draft, I don't think it's that considerable. It's going to drop stock just for this reason. You know this. There's not a consensus number one. There's not anybody doing a mock draft out there that knows which way these teams are going to go, because it's really, I don't want to say ambiguous, but the best available is really going to depend on each team's style of play and what they feel fits them best to a degree. And I could just see him probably keeping his value, maybe just dropping off a little bit. But if you're a team like Oklahoma City, right? If you're a team that maybe can wait a little bit because you're already in that window. They did it with Chet Holmgren. Why not?
Yeah, and speaking of this draft, I think you said before that you really value that second round pick.
I do.
I agree, because I don't think that there's that much of a difference in talent from when you're picking at 13 to when you're picking in the 40s in this class. And I think, do you really think that they could package that 13? And is that the move, or would that be Monty kind of going against his mojo, kind of not taking the huge risk, not making a move because everyone's saying he has to make a move?
No, everything I'm hearing, Sea-Dog, is in line with a lot of the other reports that are coming out. That move is being shopped. There's no doubt about it. The Kings are going to go through the same motions of working some guys out, but that 13th pick to me is going to be part of something bigger. The Kings just don't, even though with the new CBA, a lot is moving towards getting guys on that rookie scale contract for 4 years out of the lottery and trying to build and develop talent within. This year, it's just not that. The Kings can't wait. They can't fall behind that much more this year. So I truly believe in my heart of hearts, they will pull the trigger and they will get a deal done for Kyle Kuzma. It helps Washington out, and then it takes the pressure off the Kings to a degree. Even if you do a pick swap, a second round pick swap with Washington, where, you get, I believe, their 33rd, I want to say. You switch 33rd for 45, so the Kings would move up there. I still think the Kings could get a lot of value and at least get a guy that could possibly be serviceable, because like you said, this draft class, and here's the other thing. With all this Bronny James attention that's going on, and is he going to get drafted? Where is he going to go? There's so many of these guys that are being slighted in this draft coverage. There's going to be probably lottery picks, Sea-Dog, when the draft rolls around, that people are going to be hearing their names for the first time, and that's because all the coverage up until this point has been the Bronny Bun.
Yeah, and I think that's such a shame. That I think I saw a post that was talking about like the mock and where some of the big names are going, and on the cover of the post, you have Bronny James, who's projected to be the 55th prospect, I think, and he's the guy at the top instead of all these other really talented guys that have proven their worth in college and abroad already.
Yeah, so here is the consensus mock drafts right now. Alex Sarr going 1 to the Hawks. Zachariah, I'm not even going to take a stab at the last name, going number 2 to the Wizards. Rockets, Reed Shepherd. 4, Nikola Topic. 5, Mateus Buelzes. Stefan Castle at number 6 to the Hornets. Donovan Klingen or Dalton Knecht to the Trailblazers. And then it just goes from there. Dillingham, Holland. Knecht is another pick there that if he falls, that might fall to the Jazz. Bulls, Isaiah Collier. Sea-Dog, what are your thoughts on Isaiah Collier?
I mean, I think he could be a good player. He was the guy at USC, even with Bronny James there. And I know people put a lot of work into them not making the tournament and stuff. I know the guy yesterday was talking about that. And although it's good to be a player in the tournament and be a part of winning and stuff, when your team's not that great, you can still be a really good player. And it's not just all on you when the pieces around you aren't just good enough to beat these really good teams.
Exactly. Dude can create. He can get to the rim at will. And I watched some of his AAU tapes, some camp tape when he participated in some of those, and I just like the way it shakes out. So I don't know. I still think that pick's gone when it comes to the Kings. And you know what? I want to talk to you about this. I know I kind of, hinted at it at the beginning. Yes, Topic has the ACL injury, Peter. That's what we were talking about a second ago, but we're not sure that it's going to matter a ton if he can go to a team that's willing to be patient. So I've talked about the Kings being behind the 8 ball with the center position. So Matt George, Locked On Kings, ABC 10, go check him out. He did a podcast with the Locked On guy for the Wizards, and the consensus that they came to that both teams would probably be okay with and the Wizards would be thrilled with is Trey Lyles as part of the deal to get Kyle Kuzma. I don't think you can afford to give up Trey Lyles for numerous reasons. What do you think?
Well, if Trey Lyles is the biggest piece we're giving away in that deal, I'd fly out Kyle Kuzma right now and pick him up at the airport, because if that means that Keegan Murray's still on the team with Kyle Kuzma, if they still keep Davion and the value he has, I know Trey Lyles had a really good season last year, and this year he had a season full of injuries, and I know that he plays that role, that tenacious guy on our team that has a chip on his shoulder, but yeah. I know he had kind of a down year even when he was on the court. You can't really blame the guy when he was struggling to stay out there. But if it's Trey Lyles, and I don't know, it would probably need more to be done with picks and maybe Harrison Barnes. But
so here it is.
Kuzma's obviously the guy.
Let me lay it out for you. It's Trey Lyles, Davion, Chris Duarte, and the 13th pick.
That's a lot to gamble with. The 13th pick, your backup point guard, your backup power forward center, then Duarte, I don't mind. And is Kuzma the only guy we're getting? There's nobody else packaged with him?
Just Kuzma.
And the contract and everything, that's a tough one. But I think if you keep the core of Fox, Sabonis, Keegan Murray, and assuming Malik Monk resigns, I think that might be a risk they'd have to take. They really want to compete in the West.
But what are you going to do at center? You are now literally tying your MLE probably to a center at that point. And who can you get on the market right around that $12.9 million mark?
Trey Lyles just doesn't really scream center to me. I know that he can play stretch 5, but I see him more as a wing 4. But at center, I know we can't run it back with JaVale McGee and Alex Len. I know you're high on Alex Len, but I think with that money, I don't really know too many of the names out there. I think I don't know if you can get Isaiah Hartenstein for that, but he's the guy that I'm really high on now after his playoff run.
Yep, spot on. Hartenstein would be perfect for what the Kings do. He runs the floor so well too. And if anybody listened to the JaVale McGee interview on 1140, it was pretty clear what I came away with was the Kings don't have enough quote unquote dogs. He must have said dog like 50 times during that interview. Yeah, that guy's a dog. That guy's a dog. We need some dogs. And with Trey Lyles, I agree he's a stretch 5, but right now he's the only guy besides Sabonis who is also undersized for a 5 that could technically play the center position for the Kings.
Yeah, and I think if they really pull off that trade, then they're going to have to go out and sign somebody. And that kind of worries me, because when everyone was talking for 2 years that they needed a backup point guard, it never happened. We never signed anyone. So it's no guarantee that we're going to make those additions, and we might just be stuck with Alex Len again this season.
Which I'm okay with. I mean, it's not like I'm crazy high on him, but if I have to choose between him and JaVale McGee, I think Alex Len gives you a little bit more. I know McGee's a little more above the rim, but I like the way that Alex Len kind of tweaked his game to fit in with what the Kings were doing stylistically. And he was a big boost for the Kings down the stretch the year before as well when he got in a few minutes. So, they might have to go back to that pot. Do you envision, or do you think that, let's say the Kings lay the foundation this year, let's assume Kuzma comes in, let's take Trey Lyles out of the deal. Let's say Trey Lyles stays, but we get rid of, because to me, I know the Kings would rather get rid of Herter, but I think Barnes is the more valuable piece there. So let's say it's a Davion Mitchell, Harrison Barnes, first pick, in exchange for Kyle Kuzma and then a second-round trade swap. If the Kings have a good season, they use their MLE, they're able to get somebody backing up at the 5 position. Do you think Vivek will dip into his pockets and go after and actually pay Fox the bigger money and also dip in and pay Keegan Murray too? Is there enough here? Do you think the Kings can do enough this season to convince him to go over the cap?
It's a tough one. Just knowing everything that we've heard about Vivek, I'm not sure that he's the guy that would be willing to do that. But if you're talking about Sabonis already under extension, they gave him the big money, whether that was the right move or not. Fox, he's coming up, he needs money. And then Keegan Murray, 2 years from now, he's definitely going to be in the conversation for that money.
Yep.
But I don't know. It seems like it could be coming to that situation that they're with Halliburton again, when you have that young piece and instead of paying him, possibly trade him when his value is at a peak. And I don't agree with that. I think Keegan Murray is a cornerstone of his team, and he's progressed defensively the last years. And I'm not willing to move on from him.
I'm with you. I would actually, if you made me decide Keegan Murray or De'Aaron Fox, I would probably go Keegan Murray for many of the reasons that you just said. He's so young, and I think he showed more potential in his first 2 years than De'Aaron showed in his first 2 years. But yeah, this is where it gets tricky, and that's why I was asking about the foundation, because by the time you roll around to the end of next season, when it is this time next year, the big discussion is going to be De'Aaron Fox, because he's going to be going into the last year of his contract. And I mean, really, I think the discussion starts now leading up to the trade deadline, because if you don't intend to keep him and pay him more than what you're paying Sabonis, you sure as hell better get some value in exchange for him.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when we're talking about the Kyle Kuzma trade and everything with Washington, there's one guy that I think that I would love to have on the Kings, and I believe he's a free agent this offseason, and that's Tyus Jones.
Yes.
I think that Davion Mitchell, although he's really improved and he's shown flashes of being able to be that backup point guard, I think there's still a spot for him on the roster to be that guy that you can just plug and play when you need a defensive assignment. But Tyus Jones seems like the perfect guy to come off the bench and run the offense. He's played with Popovich. He was a Kings killer in Memphis. It always seemed when John Morant was out, he always seemed to. They almost had a better record. It seemed there was no drop off really in production.
No drop off whatsoever. He stepped in seamlessly, especially when Bane was on the court with him. Those two hooked up really well. And then, like, we were talking about the Western Conference the other night on the Open Forum show. And if you just look on paper right now, you almost have to say the Kings are at the bottom or near the bottom of the West. They're in the group with Utah. They're in the group with Phoenix, who's going to be rebuilding. They've got a ways. This hole now has become so much bigger than it was. Did you envision the hole being this big when the Kings decided to run it back?
I really didn't, but I think that a lot of that goes on. Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes took pretty big steps back. I know Huerter had injuries there at the end, but Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter, I was expecting them to be a lot more consistent, score the ball a lot better, and it didn't really turn out.
It did not turn out, and then the injury at the end, man, that just put the icing on the cake. I know we're going to be watching with intent eyes on what the Kings do up until the draft later this month. I know you want to talk some hockey. Give us your Stanley Cup predictions, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited for this. It's been a long time, and as I've been a fan, never gotten this far before, and I'm just really excited to see Connor McDavid on the biggest stage, and I think the whole hockey world's excited to see that. But it's not going to be any easy task with the Florida Panthers, because They were in the Stanley Cup final last year, and Vegas just beat them out. So they have an elite goaltender in Bobrovsky, and I think it comes down to goaltending, like Grant always says, in the playoffs. And the Oilers, Stuart Skinner, the goaltender, he's been really good lately, and I think that's
Really
a big
good.
key for them.
Yeah, and Connor McDavid, I don't think the big stage is going to be too big for him. He's been on the big stage since he stepped foot on the ice. I don't remember in my lifetime another guy being compared to Gretzky before his first game.
Yeah, him and Draisaitl, their second best player, they just completely elevate their game when it comes to the playoffs. And I know for a lot of other guys, it's the complete opposite, but I'm pretty sure they're right up there with Gretzky for averaging the most points per game in the playoffs. They always seem to do it, and they're going to need them and support if they want to beat Florida.
Well, they've got the fan base behind them. I don't know. It seems like they're playing inspired hockey right now. I know one of the guys, because I'm not a big hockey guy, he's a defender. He was getting some criticism, I think, after game 2 or game 3. He laid his body on the line a few times in game 6, deflected a couple shots. To me, like, now that I've been watching hockey with a closer eye, I think goalie might be the most difficult position to play. Well, maybe quarterback's up there, but goalie is right up there in hockey with deflected pucks and everything else. It's incredible watching these guys go.
Yeah, it's so hard to play goaltender because just the whole mental game with that, if you give up a goal or two in the beginning, it's really hard to stay focused, and you need those next couple saves. You need to see the puck a lot to kind of get your confidence back. And there's also the thing with goaltenders to play the puck. I mean, they can play the puck from behind the net and around the net forward and take risks. And that's something that goalies also have on their mind.
No doubt, no doubt. So who are you taking in the finals? You're an Edmonton fan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
as long as I can remember.
You're rocking with your Edmonton guys. And you in championships, man, you've had a good run. UConn 2 in a row.
Yeah, I know. It's been a pretty wild ride lately, and I hope my other teams, the Giants and the Kings, that it looks like they had really good futures, and they just kind of derailed the last year. So hopefully they can get back in the mix next season.
Definitely. Anything on the NFL that you want to hit on while we're here? I love catching up with y'all. This is CDog25 from the chat, a regular on the Kings pregame show. Actually co-hosted some of those with me last season. Hopefully we can do that again this coming season. But NFL topics, brother?
Yeah, the one thing that comes to mind with that Justin Jefferson extension a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, but I'm just wondering, what is that going to do for all these other receiver situations? I know that A.J. Brown got that big extension, but now you got guys like CeeDee Lamb holding out the OTAs, and then the situation with Cincinnati, which almost reminds me of the Kings. You have 2 elite receivers, and can you pay them both along with the extension they gave Joe Burrow?
Yep.
I'm not sure T. Higgins is going to be there much longer.
He wants to be there too. He's made it clear, but yeah, Paul Brown, or the Brown family, is going to have some decisions to make there. The situation that I'm looking at with the Jefferson extension is CeeDee Lamb in Dallas. So technically he's holding out right now. He could be fined up to, I believe, $100,000 if he doesn't report for their mini camp. But I mean, do you think CeeDee Lamb's in that same class as Jefferson? I know he's done a lot in Dallas, but I don't know that he sticks out that much more than a Dez Bryant. I know Dez had some problems off the field, had to have like basically a babysitter follow him around. But Jerry is in an interesting position, both with Dak and CD.
I know that Jefferson and Lamb have fairly similar numbers since coming into the league, but I just think that Jefferson is on a planet of his own right now with what he's been able to do. And it's going to be a lot different now with their quarterback situation going into the season with Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. But I don't really think it matters. If you throw the ball in the vicinity of him, he's going to get it. And with Dallas, I think that Dak Prescott, he's taking the complete opposite approach. He's not really worried about the contract extensions. He just seems like a consummate professional ready to work. But the CeeDee Lamb contract negotiations looming over Dallas, I'm not sure they're going to be able to get both of those guys paid the numbers that they want.
It's going to be hard. Jerry seems to be getting a little stingier with that checkbook. And I know, Finchy, if you're in here, I think I saw you in here. You're a Dallas fan. Sorry about, Larry Allen's passing. That was tragic at 52. But I just don't see the Cowboys being relevant, or I shouldn't say relevant because they are relevant, but getting over that hill while you still basically have the Jones Empire running that franchise. It's just, I don't want to say that there's not enough open minds in there, but I think there's two decision makers and that's it.
Yeah, it's the same story every year with the Cowboys.
Right?
They wow everyone in the regular season, and then they get to the playoffs. I think they've won a playoff game or two in recent memory, but going in and just getting absolutely destroyed by the Packers, I don't really know what they're supposed to do when it's the same exact thing every year for like the last 30 years.
Yep, I'm with you, brother. Dude, it's been so good talking with you. We got to catch up again soon, man. I hope you are doing well. Thanks for always showing up and being in the chat, but don't be a stranger. Let's run this back.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for having me.
Of course,
it was good to be back.
Definitely. All right, that is Dog 25. I love talking to Connor. Connor knows his sports. Really knows his sports. In fact, we're going to be bringing Mr. Moss up in a second. I want to get to some of these questions first. Yeah, you're right there in the mix of it, Adam. Yeah, he was a killer last year. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I do think Fox will improve his free throw percentage. The Kings played from behind far too much this season, and I do want to give De'Aaron a little bit of a pass in this sense. When the Kings, the year they made the playoffs and De'Aaron won Clutch Player of the Year, they were in a lot more close games. And De'Aaron's taken some, especially for me, about relying on the three ball a little bit too much. But I think when De'Aaron starts getting to the rack a little bit more and is actually using the pick and roll, his free throw numbers are going to go up. So are Sabonis's. I think that was a product that was mental to me. That was nothing physical last year. The Kings' attempts in free throws last year weren't even close to their makes the year before. That tells you how few times they got to the line. And they really, whether it was Mike Brown not calling a timeout at the right time or a number of different things that would happen, it just messed up the balance with the Kings. And really, that was 100% one of the fatal flaws of this team, letting the players dictate the offense rather than being the coach, dictating the offense, calling plays, etc. As I said, we got Mr. Moss in the waiting room. What's up, Moss?
Hey, what's up, Randall? How you doing, man?
Doing great, brother. What's going on?
Not much, man. You made a great point with the Cowboys, until the Jones family kind of gets out their own way. I don't see anything changing. I'm going to use their counterparts right there in Dallas, the Dallas Mavericks. Once Mark Cuban kind of took a step back and let GMs be GMs, let coaches coach, let players play, you saw a shift, in how that team just operates as a whole. He's still there, but he's less seen, less talkative. He was at the games last year when they played in 2 times in 1 week on that Monday and Friday games.
Yep.
They put the big Tron on him and the crowd booed him. But, it's like there's a pecking order, right? And I can't stand when organizations, don't allow who they hire to do their job, right? And so
100%.
I'm a big advocate of GMs being GMs and coaches and players playing. I do think De'Aaron Fox is going to be a better free throw shooter. He came back this season and added the 3-point shot to his repertoire. And so I can't imagine him not getting back in the lab with Steph or whoever he's going to get in the lab with and get better. He doesn't strike me as a guy who doesn't have no self-accountability. I know he knows he shot the free throws at times poorly. So listen, like you said, that was probably more mental than anything physical. And so not too worried about De'Aaron and free throws. But I really hopped on because Randall, it's going to happen, man. Like the Lakers are going to hire JJ Redick.
I know. I'm disappointed.
Me too.
I'm holding out for LeBron being the player coach and GM.
And there's certain franchises and teams that you just look at differently, right? Lakers, Boston, Yankees, the Cowboys,
Yeah.
and you say the Spurs per se, and you say you can accept them losing because losing is part of sports. It is what it is, but you don't expect them to do bad business or, to change their standards or their, I mean, the old Dr. Buss and Kobe Bean Bryant, my favorite player of all time, they're rolling over in their graves right now. You mean tell me JJ Redick can walk in the locker room and command attention, command cachet, command your two best players to follow your lead? Because I'm not worried about 3 through 12 or 3 through 14. I'm worried about can JJ Redick, get the attention of AD and LeBron James, because if you get those two guys, then you can get the rest of them, right? I mean, I once heard Greg tell Tim Duncan in practice, off a clip, I'm going to get on you today. He goes, for what, coach? I didn't do anything. And Pop goes, because if they see me get on you, then I can get on them,
Yeah,
And
you got to
so,
treat them the same.
Yeah, coaching is more than just X's and O's, right? All right. I mean, it's about managing egos and personalities and interpersonal skills. And JJ doesn't strike me as a guy who has patience. He was a hothead on the court. Him and Doc Rivers kind of butted heads a little bit.
Yep.
And so I don't understand, Jeannie and Linda Buss, Kurt Rambis' wife. I know she's very involved down there. Rob Pelinka. I mean, what are we doing right now? I mean, you're the Lakers, like, for crying out loud. You're just going to leapfrog Bobby Jackson, Sam Cassell, some of his assistant coaches, right?
Yeah.
Phil Handy, I mean,
I love Phil Handy. I'm so glad you brought that in. Probably the best skill development coach in the league, hands down.
Every time the Lakers come to sack, he comes out early with the guys, and he was working out with D'Angelo Russell last year before the game. And Phil's a little bit older than us, right? He's older, but he moves like he can still play the game of basketball, right? He moves great. He's smooth. And you can just tell that the way he communicates, his whole deposition is it screams leader of men. And when I look at head coaches in any sport, my number one question is, can you lead a locker room or a dugout, right? Or a sideline in football? Can you lead a group of guys? And can you make all this stuff mesh, right? Can you put out flames, right? Can you motivate? Can you encourage? Can you empower? I mean, those are certain intangibles that, a lot of guys don't have. But Rhino, when you go hire Steve Kerr and you go hire Steve Nash, it kind of opens the door for a team to go get a JJ Redick, because nobody said this about Steve Nash and Steve Kerr to this degree. And so I gotta be fair, right? I mean, this is no knock on JJ. I'm just saying, come on, man. Like, it's the Lakers. Like, what are you guys doing down there?
Let me throw a different angle at you. And I am not usually a big fan of Big Perk. By the way, did you see Kendrick Perkins take batting practice?
No, I didn't see
Boston.
It. No.
Oh boy, you gotta go check that out. That's online.
We'll do.
It's pretty funny. But he was on with Jim Rome today, and he was asked about the JJ Redick hire, and I thought he brought up an interesting point. He's like, why are we even talking about the LeBron dynamic? This should all be about Anthony Davis. LeBron said he's tried to transition this team to Anthony Davis, which obviously, as long as LeBron's on the roster, it's never going to be your team. It's his team. But that, to me, is the interesting thing. It's like just what you said. How is he going to connect with an Anthony Davis? What is he going to do to make that guy better? Because if you're Anthony Davis and you're sitting back and you're looking at this thing, it's like, well, Bron started a podcast with JJ, and now, but it's not Bron's hire. This is for the team. No, it's Bron's hire. Right. And you hit the nail on the head when you said it's just as much about managing the personalities, because once you get to the pros, you've pretty much seen all the X's and O's there are. You're not showing those guys new things for the most part. You're just implementing new wrinkles and adjustments. And I think that dynamic is interesting because AD doesn't seem like he wants it to be his team, but I don't know. This just screams like you're catering to LeBron, who is literally just staying in the league so he can say his son was in the league at the same time as him.
Agree. I mean, this might be one of the worst off seasons in Lakers history. You hire JJ Redick, and then you spend the 17th pick that you got from the Pelicans, and you possibly go get Bronny James. I mean, I can't think of any worse offseason in NBA history. It's pathetic. Let me close with this, man. San Francisco 49ers. You extend McCaffrey, love the deal. I think he's earned every penny of that. I think he might be the, other than Patrick Mahomes, I think he's probably the best offensive player in the league, arguably. There's a case to be made. But man, teams can load up, right? Put it in the box. They can stop that if they really want to a certain degree. You got to get those receivers signed. I mean, come on. I mean,
isn't that so weird?
This is crazy to me. Like, why would you not pay this man? But here's the flip side, Rhino. In every big game, doesn't seem like Debo, Kittles, Ayuk, they don't have big games. Like those guys are too big, too physical, and too good and too valuable versus the Chiefs. If you look at all their numbers, they were pathetic.
Yeah, but how much of that is on them and how much of it's on Shanahan?
It's a little bit of both. You know what I'm saying? I'm nitpicking. I mean, it's play calling, right? It's play calling. Some of that you got to give credit to the Chiefs defense. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, I don't think there's a team in the league who has more physical receivers. I think Kittles is physical. I think Ayuk is a physical. We know what Debo Samuel is, right? He might be one of the best, versatile, outside catchers in the league. He does a little bit of everything, but you got to sign him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, San Francisco. Like, do you want to win or not? And so, to me, I just don't understand that. Like, even if you're playing, because it seems like to me that some of these organizations, they take their time and they string you along and they try to posture and negotiate via media and in the media and in the public, which that's never a good thing to do. Yeah. But if you're nearly going to sign him, because listen, I feel deep down inside, they know something's going to get done. It's all about agreeing to a deal, right?
Yep.
Get the deal done. I mean, come on. I mean, this kid has been loyal to you guys. I mean, come on. This is crazy.
And the longer you wait, the more and more receivers that get paid, you're putting more firepower in their back pocket. Right? It
hires the standard. I mean,
100%. And here's the other thing that we haven't talked about. The pressure was already on Shanahan. Now the Niners go even more in, extend McCaffrey. Like, this feels like the year. Like, if they don't win a championship this year, everything they have done has been for nothing. They can't get over the hill. They are literally the Buffalo Bills.
Do you feel like their best year was last year, or is this upcoming year? Like, how do you feel about that?
Last year, especially up until they went on that little skid, but then when they came back, like, it felt like it was going to be their year. It should have been their year. I feel like if anybody else but Mahomes shows up in that Super Bowl, the 49ers probably win it. But
I agree with that. That's a fair statement.
But here's the problem. There's an excuse every year, right? Mm-hmm. It's, the lights went out in New Orleans, or, it's just something. I don't know if it's bad luck or the Shanahan stuff. This is, to me, it's the most interesting storyline because they started talking about, well, do you bring in some higher level assistants to more or less, without saying babysit him and be that guy over his shoulder. Like, I don't know how this is going to work. He is going to be skewered by the media this year. Little decisions, big decisions. There's going to be a big set of binoculars on what he's doing.
Well, I mean, outside of Andy Reid, I don't think there's a coach in this league who is set up better to win.
Oh, no. Exactly.
They're crying out loud. I mean, look at that 49. Listen, you want defense? They got that for you.
Yes.
You want offense? The best running back in the league, great tight end, you know what I'm saying? Good enough skilled receivers to get it done. A good quarterback, not great. Good quarterback, not great. Good enough to get it done.
Yep.
Like, what's the excuse here? Is it play calling? Is it decision making? I mean, I just feel like, the 49ers and that coaching staff, they just get in their own way.
Yep. I'm with you, brother.
That's it, Rhino. I wasn't going to keep you too long, man. I just had to vent about the JJ Redick fiasco, and I just can't believe it. And it's shocking. And, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on in today's NBA. And last thing, if you don't mind, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Have you been following all this WNBA stuff?
Of course. What's your take on all of it?
Women are emotional. And they lead with feelings and they lead with emotion. And, they're human. And so there's a sense of, I think there's a sense of a little jealousy with Caitlin. Does she get special treatment on certain occasions? Yeah. I mean, that's sports. I mean, certain guys, certain women get special treatment. It is what it is. I mean, why are we shocked by this, right? How about you just take a step back, play the game, relax, and just, appreciate and benefit from what's coming your way. I mean, 2 years ago, the WNBA was getting loans from Kyrie Irving, and
Yes.
the NBA was losing money on some of these teams.
Yep.
She has revitalized this league. I've never rushed home in my life to watch a women's college basketball game when Iowa played LSU. I mean, this is crazy. You know? I mean,
100%.
So it's crazy. You got women being ejected. They're fouling her hard. Now, listen, this isn't about if she's the best player. We're talking about marketability. We're talking about, something else. Obviously, she's having an okay start to the season. She can get a lot better. She's a rookie. So I'm not even talking about really on the court play. I'm talking about kind of like all these women who got opinions, right? And last point, Rhino, all these women were screaming and yelling, you guys don't support us. You guys don't support us. The WNBA is not being broadcast, right? Pay us more attention. We want equality. Okay, well, Kevin Clark comes into your league and gives you guys equality. You're flying better chartered planes, better hotels, right? You're playing.
You're flying chartered planes now.
Yes,
finally.
Chartered planes now, right? The TV audience has went through the roof, right? This is what you asked for, and you're getting it. But because everybody's not praising you guys and they're praising her, that now there's a sense of jealousy. So, I mean, listen, I can go a lot deeper into this, but I don't want to. I can't. It's just not the right place for it. But,
well, I want to add this really quick before
Sure.
you go, and then I want you to be able to plug the stuff that you're doing. How the hell does the WNBA not prepare for this and prepare their players for it? You knew Caitlin Clark's coming into the league. You know the expectation that viewership's going to be way up. I mean, even the fact that you've got to prepare some of these girls, or I should say women, that weren't part of the NIL era for college players coming in that are brands. They're literally walking brands that you have to take that into consideration when negotiating their contracts because they bring a massive following. Why do you think Ohtani gets $700 million? Like, it's because all of the world, a lot of the world's watching him. So how the WNBA was not ready for this, it's beyond me. It feels like they're flying by the seat of their pants. So, Moss, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, you guys can find me on my YouTube channel. It's called Time Out with Mr. Moss. I do like a lot of food reviews. I do a lot of barbecuing. I travel often, and I blog that. I also just purchased a new Polaris slingshot. So I'm going to be doing a video maybe tomorrow when it's a lot cooler here in Sacramento. I want to blog that. Have you seen those Polaris slingshots?
You got a slingshot, dude?
Yeah.
Why did you get one of those?
Because I sold my motorcycle and I still wanted something to have fun with. Something that me and the wife can really drive together because she wouldn't drive the Can-Ams. Because I went out to Elk Grove Motorsports to get a Can-Am, and she's like, I'm not going to ride that. So we just researched the Polaris slingshots, and we found a dealership on Auburn, and we got it. And
Sweet.
so I'm going to blog that tonight. But so I'm on YouTube. If you guys want to check out my cooking, there's some interviews on there. I'm visiting different cities. Every city I go to, I make a habit to go to their NBA game or their arena or catch a game. I blog that, so that's it. I mean, I love talking basketball, love coming on Jordan Rhino. He does a great job.
Appreciate it.
So Time Out with Mr. Moss. Check me out. There's some cool stuff on there. And man, so stay cool, man. Hope you too. The AC's on and you're staying cool and
Dude, when my wife is not home, the AC is full blast. It's like at 70 right now.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah, mine too.
She is a stickler. She's like 5 to 8 extra money.
I don't care.
And I'm like, I don't care. Like that is what AC is for, right? You know,
we budget for that now. So we know in summertime, we don't care about the money. Like we worked hard to earn money and a good living to be able to pay for these type of things. So so she knows. So so right now I have my AC like on 68.
That a boy.
That's
Love
why
it.
I got this jacket on, because it's not cold, but it's a little,
Yeah, that's how it should be. It's so much easier to warm
right.
up than to cool down.
Yeah,
If you try to cool down, forget about it. It's
for
too
sure,
hard.
man. Always a pleasure, man. And yeah, man, have a good day and stay cool, man.
Yeah, you too, brother.
Yes,
That
sir.
is Mr. Moss bringing the heat as he usually does. I love it. Getting some calls today. I said on the shoot around earlier today that we hadn't had very many calls this week. So I'm glad everybody is jumping in. And oh boy, trouble is here. Haunted horse. Got to rub it in, huh? Got to rub it in. And
How about no?
and you're going to be that guy, haunted horse, that uses the airport abbreviation. Don't be that guy. Come on, man. You're like Napier. Come on, dude. Don't be that guy. Yes, I am wearing your shirt. I understand. I get it. Or is it? No, it's your shirt. It's your show. I'm just lucky to be a little bit of a part of it. What did you think about what Mr. Moss had to say? What Condog or Sea Dog had to say? I thought that some of that was really interesting. And that's the great thing that we do here. We can go any way that you want to. Well, progressive. Mark Jackson, when he was the coach before Kerr, he had a pretty good team. I would say a team that underachieved. Kerr walked into a damn good situation. Now, Kerr being under the Phil Jackson tree, that does change things 100%. So he did have some experience, but really, I think the JJ thing, and nobody's going to know this for sure. Mr. Moss brought up an excellent point in that JJ Redick was a hothead, a big hothead sometimes on the court. And I know Coach K behind the scenes has been advocating a lot for JJ. Coach K has a very good relationship with LeBron, with a lot of the different franchises in the NBA. But how is JJ going to manage personalities? You know, I'm not going to say he's outspoken, but he makes sure that he is heard, or he at least gets the last word in a lot of times on the NBA broadcast. And I think JJ is pretty good at it, but how is he going to do managing the personalities? And the biggest personality is going to be AD. As much as I don't want to admit it, Perk is right. It's the AD thing that needs to work out, not so much the LeBron thing that needs to work out. It's a great point. Yep. Great job by you, Bane. What did Luke Walton go? He started off, what was it, like 30-something-0 when he was coaching for Kerr? That team was set. That was rolling. Oh, Riverside. What a Riverside. Have I heard of that city before? It's somewhere in Southern California, right, Burn Dog? Riverside. Sounds familiar. I have to think about that one a little bit more. It is blazing in Sacramento. Dennis picked us up right there. It's blazing. There is nothing like getting into your car when the car's been sitting out there all day and you haven't had it running. It's the first time you get in the afternoon. That is rough. That is rough. The first time you get over 100 degrees or you have a wave of 100 degrees during the summertime, it takes a little bit of adjusting, and it definitely changes your schedule. It changes your schedule a lot. So we've covered a lot of bases today. We've had some great phone calls. C-Dog joining us, Mr. Moss joining us. I go back, and I'm going to leave you with this. That Washington trade that apparently the Wizards would jump at, it concerns me. I saw some comments about Davion in there. I know I didn't get to all of them. It is really, really concerning. Yeah, right, Mark? Yeah, your seats burn you. I mean, I'm not going to be that guy and say what kind of seats I have and what kind of car I'm driving. But yes, my legs are greatly affected by my seats when I sit in. In fact, I wish my car had the seat cooling feature as opposed to the seat heating feature. I would really, really be happy about that. Progressive hopping back in one more time. JJ Redick is a peculiar choice. Don't understand why he's the number one choice for the Lakers. Well, Progressive, he's the number one choice because, you know, LeBron James. It's the Los Angeles LeBron Jameses. That's what it is. You saw the writing on the wall there. I actually would have respected the Lakers a lot more had they done this earlier and announced this earlier. And I know it's not been formally announced, it's Shams reporting it, but it's you don't have to be a rocket scientist to draw or connect the dots. I should say that the Lakers were dragging the search out to eventually, land on JJ Redick as soon as the NBA finals are over. And yes, it does sell. It's going to play in Los Angeles because either way, and I know the Lakers get talked about a lot, but either way, the Lakers are going to dominate the news cycle between the Bronny stuff. And I'm not even talking about Bronny going to LA, just anything with whatever team he ends up on. If LeBron and him are on opposite sides of the court, you get my drift. You're going to have that whole thing. Then if it's not working out with JJ Redick, he's probably going to be more outspoken than quiet. So you're going to have more media coverage there. And I find it interesting, though, when somebody that has never been a head coach, and Steve Kerr, as you pointed out, Progressive, is actually a good test example, but never been a head coach, but has been in the broadcasting game and making that jump from broadcasting directly to head coaching, that is a little bit of a different one. I was looking for a way to do that. I appreciate that. The Los Angeles LeBroners. By the way, if you haven't done so already, go check out. So the King's Court is not just a live show. We also have our daily morning shoot-arounds, and on the weekend, you get a full-length podcast from me, usually Saturday and Sunday. But there's a very cool episode on there where my boy V in the Fee, he is a diehard Lakers fan. He knows the franchise inside and out. He's a Jim Rome clone. We talk about what we thought would happen this offseason with the Kings and the Lakers. We recorded it about a month ago, but we also talk about the history of the rivalry between the Kings and the Lakers, and can it come back? What's it going to take to rekindle it? That was a very fun episode. And in fact, it's the second most downloaded episode of the King's Court. And I think we've got almost 150 of them now. So go check that out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And then obviously, if you don't like that, make sure you're subscribed to Grant's YouTube channel. That is one of the destinations we are streaming to right now. Our entire library is up there of work, all of Grant's exclusive interviews, as well as the pregame shows, the postgame shows, halftime shows for the last 2 seasons, all of the shows with Jerry Reynolds, all of the shows with Sean Salisbury. Go check that out. And by the way, we're probably going to be getting Sean back here as we get closer and closer to football. Another thing to think about as we get closer to the King's Court tomorrow, here's the question I'm going to ask you tomorrow. I was thinking about it today. We had some good calls, so it's not worth running with now, but think about it overnight. If you could take one player, only one player from the 2001-2002 Sacramento Kings and add them to this version of the Sacramento Kings, don't give me your answers now. I want you to think about it. Who would you add to this team? I think it's a great question because there's multiple guys that you could go with for multiple different reasons. So anyways, make sure you subscribe. 7.2 thousand already to Grant's channel. Also, you can get some fun and exclusive rants there. We always appreciate when Grant does those. And speaking of Grant, him and I will be back tonight, 8 o'clock. We're going to do another Wednesday night sports scrum. Whatever you want to talk about, Kings, football, tennis. If you want to go off the map, you want to talk travel, you want to talk, we can talk literally anything that we usually talk in this forum. Some of our best shows have not even been about sports. Grant gets a kick out of that stuff. So make sure you join us at 8 o'clock tonight. That will be a lot of fun. And again, Thank y'all so much for being here. Make it a great day. We'll be back tomorrow with another live edition of the King's Court, another morning shoot around tomorrow. And remember, I am giving you the question of the day in advance of tomorrow. Which king from the 2001-2002 Kings would you currently add to this roster? This Sacramento Kings team, who would have the biggest impact? And that's what I want you to think about. Not the best player, who would have the biggest impact, fill the biggest hole that this roster currently has right now in Sacramento. Tadora, play us out with a little holy moly Jim Bob
Holy
Bowley.
moly, Jim Bob Bowley.
Love it. Go Kings, light the damn beam. We're back at 8 o'clock tonight here on If You Don't Like That. Court is dismissed.